My friends, if you truly wish for someone to love you, to be drawn to you irresistibly, it will not happen through pleading words or anxious waiting. It happens in the silence of your mind. There, in the sacred stillness of imagination, you create the magnetic pull that compels your SP to feel your presence even when apart. This is not manipulation, it is spiritual law. What you assume in stillness, the world reflects in form. Remain quiet, remain certain, and the unseen hand of imagination will move your SP toward you with divine precision and unstoppable desire. Stop chasing. Start imagining. Let silence do what words never could. My friend, when I speak to you of silence, I am not referring to the absence of sound. I speak of the stillness that lives beneath thought itself. It is within that sacred silence that the creative power of your own being is heard. Every person you have ever loved, every event you have ever experienced, every word ever spoken to you, all of it was first whispered in this silence before it became sound in the outer world. You have been told to speak affirmations aloud, to chant, to repeat, but I tell you the true command is given in quiet. It is in the inner chambers of your mind where creation is decreed. When you desire your SP, the one you wish to love you, do not chase them with words or pleadings. Do not run to their messages or their silence, for that silence outside is only a reflection of the silence you have not yet mastered within. In this sacred stillness, you must speak to yourself as though the world already agrees with you. You must feel, not say, but feel that you are already chosen, already adored, already the center of their affection. And as surely as night turns today, this feeling, born in silence, will echo into form. There is a moment, if you allow it, when you withdraw from the noise of the senses, your phone, your friends, your doubts. They all fall away, and there you stand in the stillness of your imagination. In that place, what you assume becomes law. The silence is not empty, it is full, alive with potential. It listens only to what you truly believe. When your belief and your feeling become one, creation is complete and your SP must respond. They may believe it is their own idea, their own sudden desire, but you will know. You will know it was the silent decree of your imagination that called them forth. Every great change in life begins this way. Before any word is spoken, before any movement occurs, consciousness imagines. The outer world is the echo of inner stillness. You do not make anything happen. You allow it by resting in the feeling that it is already done. You must understand the universe does not respond to struggle. It bends to certainty. It listens not to your words, but to the quiet confidence behind them. The more quietly you can hold your assumption, the faster it hardens into fact. Now, let us enter that silence together. Close your eyes, if you will, and let go of what your senses report. Do not resist the images of absence. Instead, create within that inner stillness the scene that implies fulfillment. Do not picture your SP as distant or unaware. See them close, smiling, their eyes filled with affection that only you command. Feel the warmth of their presence. Hear their voice not in sound, but in silent knowing. You do not have to strain. Creation is effortless in imagination. In this silence, you are not asking for love. You are love itself, radiating and being received. Do you see the beauty of this? You are not trying to force another to love you. You are revealing the love that already exists within. The silence becomes the womb of manifestation. The world will reflect whatever you conceive within it. When you hold the image of being loved and chosen, and you rest in that assumption quietly, without doubt, the reflection must come. There is no outer resistance that can stand against sustained inner stillness. The one who learns to remain unshaken in silence has found the key to command the entire world. When the mind is restless, when you check and wonder, where are they? Why haven't they come back? You are breaking the silence. You are declaring the absence once more. But when you stand still, when you feel deeply that it is already done, then the silence becomes your ally. It goes forth and rearranges the very circumstances of life. The silence is creative substance. It is your servant. The outer world is its obedient shadow. So, still your mind, and the shadow will fall perfectly. Your SP does not hear your text, your call, or your tears. They hear your inner tone. When your tone is need, they feel repel. When your tone is certainty, they are drawn. Without a word, your silence speaks across the distance, whispering into their heart, "When I am the one." They will not know why they think of you suddenly, why your name crosses their mind at midnight, or why the memory of you stirs them awake. But you will know. It was your silent claim that called them home. This is why I call it the silent method, because the power to draw love, to command attention, to awaken passion. It is not in speaking louder to the world, but in being still enough to hear your own divine voice. That voice does not argue, it does not doubt, it simply declares. It says, "It is done," and the world obeys. And when that declaration is made in stillness, the echo travels through every layer of consciousness until it reaches the one you love. They feel it as an impulse, a longing, an unexplainable desire to return to you. You have been given the gift of imagination, not to dream idly, but to create deliberately. You may sit in your room alone and move the entire universe in your favor. You may sit in silence and call forth love from the one who once seemed distant. And you need not lift a single finger in the outer world, for all action arises from inner movement first. The silence does not mean passivity, it means creation in its highest form. Think of a seed. It grows not when you shout at it, not when you demand its blooming, but when it lies hidden beneath the soil, silent, still, unseen. So it is with your assumption. Your SP is the flower, but the seed is planted in silence. Water it with faith, nourish it with inner joy, and soon the outer bloom will appear. To disturb the soil with worry is to delay the harvest. To rest in quiet assurance is to let it unfold in perfect order. You must train your mind to love the silence, for in that silence lives the truth of all things. When you no longer seek proof, when you no longer crave signs, then your desire is fulfilled. The silence will speak to you in the language of feeling, a gentle peace, a knowing. That is the voice of creation. And once you hear it, you will not need to seek confirmation outside yourself. You will know it is done. And when it is done within, nothing can prevent its expression without. The one you love will come. Not because you begged, not because you chased, but because your silent certainty made it impossible for them to stay away. For silence is not weakness, it is command. It is the invisible magnet of the universe, the holy stillness from which every miracle is born. And from that stillness, there arises the secret conversation, the dialogue within you that never ceases, though the world believes you silent. It is this inner conversation that builds the bridge between your unseen assumption and the visible world. You may think your words are idle, that what you think in secret is harmless, but I tell you, every inner word is a seed cast into the fertile soil of consciousness. The tone of your inner voice is the current upon which your reality flows. You need not speak aloud. It is your inward speech that determines the direction of your life and the nature of your relationships. Listen closely to the conversation that goes on when you are alone, when your SP crosses your mind. What do you say inwardly? Do you say, "Puss, I don't care," or "they're distant," or "they have forgotten me"? If so, you are unknowingly commanding the silence to reproduce that story in form. You are not punished for your inner speech. You are sustained by it. The outer world is but a reflection of what you are whispering to yourself when no one else can hear. The one who understands this ceases to complain about others and begins to listen to their own inner tone, for that tone becomes the magnet drawing all experience. When you master your inner conversation, you master your destiny. To control what you say within is not repression, it is creation. You can no longer afford to speak against your desire. Every time you imagine your SP ignoring you, you are making an inner declaration that must manifest as their distance. But when you speak to them in love within you, when you hear their voice calling your name with affection, you are creating a bond that no distance can break. The world of imagination is not a dream. It is the real world, clothed later in the garments of the visible. Suppose as you go to bed tonight, you bring to mind your SP. Instead of remembering their absence, you enter into the scene that implies union. Hear them say, "Was I've missed you. I love you. I can't stop thinking about you." Do not wait for them to say it in the outer world. Hear it now in the inner world, with all the feeling of reality. The moment you do, you have shifted your state of being, and that state must externalize itself. It may seem like imagination, but imagination is the cause. The outer world is merely the echo. You might say, "But how can my thoughts affect another person? They have their own free will." I say to you, consciousness is one. There are not many minds, but one mind expressing through many forms. When you assume that your SP adores you, you are not forcing them. You are aligning yourself with the version of them that already loves you. In the infinite field of possibilities, every version of them already exists. Through your inner conversation, you choose which version steps forward in your world. If you constantly think of rejection, you are tuning into the version of them who rejects you. If you dwell in love, you commune with the version who loves you deeply. This is why it is called the silent method, for you never need to speak a word to anyone. You change the conversation within, and life reorganizes itself to match your new inner dialogue. Many believe that power lies in outer action, but true power lies in the silent thought that precedes all action. You can sit alone in your room, speak to your SP in imagination, and know that they feel it. The vibration of thought travels without distance. It is the one true telepathy of the soul. They begin to think of you not because you sent them a message, but because your inner speech awakened the idea of you within them. Your inner conversation is your prayer. It is not the words you recite before sleep, but the habitual tone of your mind throughout the day. If you are saying within yourself, "They never choose me," you are praying for rejection. If you say, "Oh, they love me more each day," you are praying for union. Prayer is not pleading, it is acceptance. When you persist in a certain inner dialogue, you accept it as truth, and that acceptance is creation. Change the conversation and you change the manifestation. When you notice yourself slipping into thoughts of doubt or fear, do not condemn yourself. Simply pause and revise the conversation. Replace the image of separation with the image of union. Speak inwardly words of affection. Feel their love answering you. It does not matter if the outer world contradicts it. The outer must eventually conform. The unseen is always the cause of the seen. Your inner conversation is the architect of your world. Every day, countless people sabotage their own desires because they speak against them in secret. They affirm love in the morning and deny it in the afternoon with thoughts of worry and lack. The creative power does not distinguish between affirmations and complaints. It only amplifies whatever is impressed upon it through feeling. To master your life, you must become aware of what you are saying inwardly and direct that conversation toward your chosen end. Speak within as one already loved, already desired, already complete. When you begin to feel lonely, that is the perfect moment to practice. Instead of sinking into the sense of lack, close your eyes and hear your SP's voice in your heart. Let it be gentle, warm, and alive. Do not make it a mechanical exercise. Feel the love in those words. Let your inner ears hear them say, "Want you belong to me," and let your heart answer, "And you belong to me." Continue until you feel the mood of fulfillment. That feeling is the evidence of answered prayer. The moment you touch that feeling, creation is finished in the invisible. The outer must soon follow. Many do not realize that the world around them is a mirror, faithfully reflecting their most consistent inner conversations. You cannot speak of loneliness within and expect to see companionship without. You cannot dwell upon being ignored and expect attention. Change the story within and watch the mirror change its image. The mirror does not create, it only reflects. So speak to yourself as the beloved, the chosen, the adored, and soon your SP will speak the same words to you aloud. Understand this deeply. Your SP is not outside you, but within you. They live in your consciousness. Every time you think of them, you are summoning their image from within the infinite mind. So treat that image as sacred. Speak to it with tenderness, with certainty, with love. What you say to them in imagination, they hear in spirit. And as the spirit moves, the body must follow. There is no separation in consciousness, only degrees of awareness. So go on now and practice this sacred art. When you walk, speak inwardly the words of love. When you rest, hear their voice intertwined with yours. When you dream, dream from the place where your union is already real. Do this not to get them, but to reveal that you already are one with them in consciousness. The outer world will soon echo the truth you have spoken in the silence. And when you begin to understand that every word you utter in the silence is heard by your SP within the one consciousness, you come to realize there has never truly been two of you. There is only one life expressing itself as many. The law of mental union is the eternal truth that all minds are linked through the same divine imagination. What you think and feel about another is not contained within you. It travels instantly to the depths of their being. The boundary you perceive between yourself and them is a shadow cast by ignorance, and once that veil lifts, you will see that every relationship in your world is but the outpicturing of your own inner state. If you believe your SP is distant, cold, or uninterested, it is because in consciousness you have assumed separation. But if you assume unity, if you know in the core of your being that you and your SP are one mind, one heart, one soul, then their outer behavior will transform to match that inner knowing. It is not that you are influencing them as another being, rather, you are awakening the truth already asleep within them. For within every person lies the same awareness, the same divine center, and what you assume of them in imagination, they feel in reality, for they are not apart from you. Do you remember how in the silence we felt the stillness of creation? That same stillness is the place where you merge with your SP completely. It is not an act of force, it is an act of recognition. You are not trying to draw them near, for near and far are illusions of sense. You are simply remembering that you were never separate to begin with. When you drop the belief in distance, when you no longer see them as another to be one or persuaded, you enter into the divine union where desire and fulfillment are one. Consider this, if consciousness is one, then there is no message to send, for the receiver and the sender are the same being. Every thought of love, every feeling of joy you cultivate within is instantly known by the one you love, because it arises in the same field of awareness. The world calls it coincidence when your SP suddenly thinks of you, texts you, or feels an inexplicable pull toward you. But there are no coincidences in consciousness. It is the inevitable reflection of your union made visible. When you hold your SP as separate, you unknowingly strengthen the illusion of division. You say, one they are there and I am here, and thus you experience distance. But when you dwell in the knowing, when we are one awareness dreaming itself as two, you dissolve the space between you. This is not a poetic idea. It is the law of being. The outer world mirrors your belief in unity or separation. When you love from the standpoint of oneness, you cannot experience rejection, for there is no other to reject you. There is only self meeting self in the dance of love. You may test this truth. The next time you think of your SP, instead of feeling lack or longing, turn inward and quietly affirm, say, we are one consciousness. What I feel, they feel. What I know, they know. Let that awareness fill you until the sense of two-ness fades. You will notice a peace arise within, a soft joy that requires no confirmation from the outer world. That peace is the signal that you are in harmony with the law of mental union. Soon after, you will see the reflection in your outer experience, messages, encounters, gestures of affection, but these are merely symbols of what has already been achieved within. When people say, I can't stop thinking about them, they often mean they are consumed by longing. But when you truly understand oneness, that same persistence of thought becomes creation, not craving. For now your thoughts are no longer those of separation, but of unity. Every loving thought toward your SP is an act of remembrance of the one life you share. The mind that knows this secret never fears loss, for nothing can be lost in the wholeness of being. Do not think that this law applies only to love relationships. It governs all human contact. When you assume harmony, others respond harmoniously. When you assume understanding, others understand. You are not sending telepathic messages, you are recognizing the self in all. And because all are one, the assumption of love must manifest as love received. You have no rival in consciousness, for no one can occupy your place in the divine imagination. Your SP's love is your own love reflected, your desire mirrored back to you through another form of the same self. Now, some may ask, if we are truly one, why do they act as though they do not care? The answer lies in your own assumption. You have believed in separation more than unity, and the outer world must echo your belief. Do not condemn yourself for it, simply return to the truth. Withdraw attention from their seeming indifference and rest in the awareness that you and your SP are one life expressing itself in perfect balance. Feel the love within as already shared, for it is impossible for consciousness to love itself in vain. What you feel deeply in imagination must awaken in them, for there is only one dreamer dreaming both roles. The power of this understanding is beyond measure. When you live from oneness, you are free from anxiety, free from competition, free from doubt. You no longer beg for attention, because you know attention cannot be withdrawn from itself. You no longer seek signs, because you are the sign. You no longer fear rejection, because the hand that loves and the heart that receives are the same. When you live in this awareness, your SP becomes the perfect mirror of your own divine completeness. Their affection, their words, their actions flow naturally, for you have ceased to resist the current of unity. You will find that when you dwell in the state of union, everything begins to move with grace. You do not need to plan or strategize. The meeting, the message, the reconciliation, these unfold as if orchestrated by unseen hands. But it is all your own being arranging itself. You will marvel at the precision of it. Every encounter will seem guided. Every coincidence will bear the mark of your inner state. The outer world will become the stage upon which your assumption of oneness performs its drama of fulfillment. In this awareness, love ceases to be something you pursue. It becomes the natural fragrance of your being. You no longer say, "And I want them to love me," for you realize that to desire love is to confess separation. Instead, you rest in the silent knowing in am love. And love is expressing itself through this relationship. And as you hold that knowing, the relationship must harmonize. It cannot do otherwise, for consciousness cannot contradict itself. Your SP will be drawn not by need but by resonance, by the vibration of unity that you have embodied. So let the world believe in distance and struggle if it must. But you, my friend, will live by a higher law. You will know that there is only one consciousness dreaming all things into existence. And in that knowing, you will no longer plead for love. You will radiate it. You will no longer question whether they feel the same. You will know that they cannot help but feel what you are being, for they are yourself made visible. This is the secret of divine union, the realization that the beloved and the lover are one being playing two roles in the same eternal play of imagination. And once you have come to that sacred realization that you and your SP are not two, but one being expressing through different forms, you must now wear the identity that belongs to that union. This is the secret of the assumed identity, the art of becoming the version of yourself who is already loved, already desired, already chosen. You cannot receive what you are not willing to embody. The outer world mirrors not your wishes, but your sense of self. Therefore, to make your SP see you as irresistible, you must first become in consciousness the one they cannot resist. You have spent too long trying to change the image of the other while remaining the same self within. You have said, "I want them to love me," yet continue to see yourself as unloved. You cannot be both the desired and the desiring at once. To attract love, you must assume the consciousness of being loved. This is not pretending, this is creation. When you clothe yourself in the feeling of being adored, your SP will respond as though an invisible hand has moved their heart. For in truth it has. Your own imagination has. Each time you imagine your SP ignoring you, you are affirming the identity of the one who is ignored. But the moment you feel yourself as loved, cherished, and chosen, You have stepped into the identity of the one who is adored. Life cannot deny the truth of your being. It will clothe itself in circumstances and events that match the state you occupy. You are never asking the world to change. You are commanding it silently by changing the concept of yourself. Let us take an example. Suppose your SP has not contacted you. The old self would say, "Oh, they don't care, they've moved on." That is the voice of separation, the identity of lack. But the awakened self says quietly within, "Oh, of course they care. They are drawn to me because I am love itself." You see, one lives in reaction, the other in creation. The difference lies not in the outer condition, but in the assumed identity. The old self waits for proof to believe. The new self believes and therefore compels the proof to appear. Do not make the mistake of merely repeating words. It is not the words that change your world, it is the feeling behind them. You can say, "Oh, I am loved," 1,000 times and remain in the consciousness of lack. But when you feel it, when you close your eyes and sense the warmth of your SP's affection, as though it were already yours, then you have assumed the state, and that state has creative power. The outer world is compelled to express it, for the unseen always precedes the seen. You are not a beggar at the door of love. You are the beloved in whom love delights. When you realize this, your SP will begin to reflect it back effortlessly. They may not even understand why they feel such pull toward you, but you will know. You changed your self-concept, and the mirror of life had no choice but to rearrange itself. Many ask, "How do I become that version of myself?" It begins with imagination. In the silence, as you learned before, close your eyes and picture yourself as already the one your SP adores. Feel their attention upon you. Hear the tone of their voice speaking your name with affection. Sense the joy of being chosen above all others. Let that feeling sink deep into your being until it no longer feels like imagination, but truth. Then go about your day wearing that unseen crown of certainty. You do not need to affirm endlessly or force emotion. Simply persist in the knowing that you are the loved one. When the old thoughts arise, and they will, do not fight them. Gently remind yourself, "Chi, that was the old self. I no longer dwell there. I am now the chosen one." Every time you do this, you strengthen the new identity until it becomes natural. And when it becomes natural, manifestation is inevitable. This is the great secret of transformation. You cannot hold two conflicting identities and expect harmony. If you say, I want to be loved," you are declaring that you are not. But when you say, "I am loved," you are stating the truth from the end. The difference may seem subtle to the mind, but it is vast in the realm of spirit. One keeps you waiting, the other makes you magnetic. Do not underestimate the power of subtle inner shifts. You may think, "But how can changing how I feel about myself affect them?" Remember what we have already seen. There is no separation in consciousness. When you assume the identity of the beloved, you awaken that recognition within your SP. They begin to see you with new eyes, for you have silently changed your vibration. Without a word, you have rewritten the script of your relationship. You can notice this in small ways. Perhaps they suddenly remember something sweet about you. Perhaps they feel an urge to reach out without knowing why. These are not coincidences, they are reflections of your new state. The world must echo your assumption. You have not forced them. You have allowed love to move through the channel of oneness that already connects you. You may think that this practice is imagination only, but imagination is the only reality. What you assume inwardly hardens into fact. So treat your inner world as sacred ground. There you are, the creator, and everything begins and ends with the concept of self. When you accept yourself as worthy of love, love rushes to confirm it. When you feel unworthy, the world echoes that belief. Choose, therefore, to identify with the version of yourself who is adored without effort, who walks in quiet confidence, who knows that love is their natural state. This assumed identity is not arrogance, it is faith. It is the recognition that the divine within you has never been unloved, for love is its own reflection. You are not creating affection from nothing. You are revealing what has always been true. The self that is aware of love as its own nature cannot be rejected, for rejection belongs only to the illusion of separation. Carry this awareness into every moment. When you wake in the morning, feel the joy of being loved. When you walk, walk as one who is adored. When you speak, speak with the quiet tone of one who knows they are wanted. Let every gesture, every thought, every feeling arise from this identity. Soon the world will mirror it so perfectly that you will forget you ever felt unloved. Your SP will appear not as one who changed, but as one who finally matched your vibration. And if ever doubt whispers again, remember this: the outer world cannot defy your inner assumption for long. It must yield, for it has no life of its own. You are the life. You are the dreamer. The dream responds to the dreamer's belief. So believe that you are loved and watch as the universe conspires to prove you right. This is how you command devotion without words, not by seeking it, not by asking for it, but by being it. When you embody the identity of love itself, your SP cannot help but mirror that truth. The silence within becomes magnetic, and all things, all hearts, are drawn to the vibration of your certainty. And when that identity of being loved becomes the air you breathe, the next step is to live in the end emotionally. For to live in the end is to dwell not in the desire, but in its fulfillment, not in the longing, but in the possession. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot feel lack and claim abundance in the same breath. When you live in the end, you have crossed the bridge from wanting to being. You no longer reach for love, you rest in it. You no longer question when or how it will come. You know it already exists. This is the great art of feeling from the end rather than toward it. You have already learned the power of silence and assumption. But silence without emotional conviction is but empty stillness. It is the feeling, the living awareness that the wish is already fulfilled that brings forth creation. When I say what you've in the end, I mean let every beat of your heart testify that what you desire is now fact. The outer world may still deny it, but within you the scene is complete. The inner act of fulfillment must precede its physical expression. It always does. Imagine this. You have already received the message from the words of love have already been spoken, the union already real. How would you feel? Not how would you think, but how would you feel? That feeling is the key that unlocks the door between imagination and manifestation. Many imagine what they want, but continue to feel the lack of it. They sit in the chair of desire, but never stand in the home of fulfillment. They speak of faith while entertaining doubt. But when you live in the end emotionally, doubt becomes impossible, for you are no longer looking forward to a miracle. You are living after it. It is not enough to visualize a scene. You must enter it with feeling so real that the world fades from your awareness. When you close your eyes, see yourself not as the one waiting, but as the one who has already received. If your SP's love were a fact tonight, how would you walk? How would you speak? How would you think of yourself tomorrow? The way you would feel then, feel it now. That is living in the end. You are no longer rehearsing love, you are remembering it. Every act of creation begins in imagination, and imagination always works through feeling. The feeling is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. The more you dwell in that emotional end, the faster the outer world conforms. The universe must rearrange itself to reflect the state you persist in. You may think you are waiting for circumstances to change, but circumstances are waiting for you to feel differently. When you live in the end, you stop measuring time, for fulfillment is now. Let me tell you, when you begin to practice this, the outer world may still whisper its contradictions. Your SP may still appear silent, but you must not let the senses dictate your truth. You live from the unseen, not the seen. The world outside is only the echo of yesterday's state. Do not try to change the echo. Change the sound that caused it. Change your feeling, and the reflection must follow. This is not wishful thinking, it is law. The moment you feel yourself to be the one who is loved, the world has already shifted. The evidence will appear, for feeling is the substance of reality. When you go to bed, make the end your dwelling place. Let the last thought of the day be the feeling of accomplishment. If your SP were lying beside you, if love were complete, how peaceful would your heart be? Sink into that peace. Let it carry you into sleep. The subconscious mind accepts the feeling impressed upon it, and what it accepts, it must express. Sleep in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and you will awaken to a world reshaped by your inner conviction. Many believe that emotion must be stirred by outer events, but the wise know it is the inner emotion that creates outer events. The world is your mirror. It cannot show what you do not first feel within. When you live in the end emotionally, you are no longer reacting to appearances. You are commanding them. You are living as cause, not effect. Your SP cannot resist this power, for it is not manipulation. It is alignment with divine law. You are declaring from the center of being, Qantas is who I am, and the world must echo that identity. Do not confuse this with pretending. Pretending is fragile. It depends on effort. Living in the end is effortless. It is rest. Pretending says, peace I hope it happens. Living in the end says, it already has. Pretending fears contradiction. Living in the end smiles at it, knowing it will pass. When you live from the end, the world becomes pliant, obedient, alive with your inner certainty. What once seemed fixed begins to move. What once felt impossible begins to form. Sometimes you will find yourself tempted to check, to seek signs, to question. That is natural, but it is also a test. The moment you feel the urge to seek reassurance, pause and return to the feeling of fulfillment. The fulfilled self does not wonder, will it happen? The fulfilled self simply knows. That knowing is your fortress. It does not shout, it whispers with authority. It says, all is well, for it is already done. Stay there and soon the world will catch up. You may notice that when you live in the end emotionally, your energy changes. You no longer need to chase, for what belongs to you cannot miss you. You no longer feel anxious, for you know the ending is secure. Your SP begins to sense this calm confidence, not through words, but through the invisible vibration of your being. They feel drawn to you, not by effort, but by resonance. You have become the embodiment of what you once desired, and like attracts like. You will also find that this state brings a deep gratitude, not the gratitude of waiting, but the gratitude of receiving. You thank the unseen for what already is. Gratitude seals the feeling, for no one gives thanks for what they do not believe they have. When you feel gratitude before the evidence, you have declared the end as present fact. The unseen responds with astonishing speed, for gratitude is the fragrance of fulfilled desire. Do not be concerned with how it will unfold. The how belongs to the unseen intelligence that governs all. Your task is to sustain the emotional conviction that it is already yours. The outer world will find the path of least resistance to make it visible. It may happen in ways you could never predict. A chance encounter, a sudden change of heart, a word spoken at the perfect moment, but it will happen. Because feeling is the foundation of all creation. You may walk through days that seem unchanged, but do not be deceived. The seed is planted and it is growing in the unseen soil of imagination. The emotional state you occupy is the water and light that feed it, persist, and the outer bloom must appear. The timeline of manifestation bends to the intensity of your feeling. The deeper your conviction, the swifter the evidence. So live now as though everything you desire were already true. Feel the ring on your finger, the warmth of their embrace, the ease of shared love. Let your imagination be so vivid, so alive, that it becomes your dwelling place. When you live in the end emotionally, you are not hoping. You are remembering the truth your senses have yet to reveal. And the world, faithful to your inner command, will soon bow to the authority of your fulfilled heart. When you come to this point, the silence within becomes sacred, not because it is empty, but because it is filled with the unseen activity of fulfillment. You begin to realize that creation is not an act of force, but an act of quiet acceptance. The outer mind, so accustomed to effort, to proving and persuading, struggles with this. It wants to do, to act, to fix. Yet the deeper mind, the creative mind, knows that stillness is the birthplace of all miracles. You have entered that stillness, not as an observer, but as the one who commands from the unseen. Now, in this silence, your task is not to wish but to be, not to plead but to feel. For the moment you feel yourself to be the one desired, the one chosen, the one loved, in that very moment the creative law is set in motion. There is no waiting period in imagination. The instant you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, creation begins. The world may seem unchanged for a while, but it has already moved beneath the surface. The unseen forces are gathering around your conviction, forming new paths, stirring new emotions in others, orchestrating events that will soon mirror your inner state. You do not need to repeat the feeling again and again in anxiety, for the universe does not respond to repetition but to belief. It is not how often you imagine but how deeply you accept. One moment of pure conviction outweighs hours of half-hearted wishing. If you can, for even a minute, feel the reality of being loved with every fiber of your being, you have planted a seed that must bear fruit. The outer world cannot resist a seed so alive. And as you dwell in this silence, you begin to sense the beautiful paradox that to draw your SP near, you must release the grasp of needing them. The need belongs to lack. The fulfillment belongs to being. When you live in the end, you are no longer seeking, you are radiating. The one who radiates love never chases, they attract effortlessly. You have felt this before in moments of serenity. When you felt whole within yourself, the world around you seemed to soften, and people were drawn to you. This is the secret. The more complete you feel within, the more the outer world mirrors that completeness. It is often said that love must be earned or proven. Yet that is the language of those who have forgotten their creative power. Love is not earned. It is assumed. You assume the state of being loved, and the world confirms it. You assume the state of being desired, and your SP must respond to that vibration. It is law, not chance. The inner state is always prior to the outer reflection. So long as you see yourself as the one hoping, you will remain the nay, waiting. The instant you see yourself as the one who already is, the waiting ends. This is why silence is your greatest ally. In silence, you cannot be distracted by appearances. The outer world, with all its noise, tries to convince you of what is real. The absence, the distance, the doubt. But in the silence of imagination, you create a higher reality. The senses are hushed, and the unseen becomes tangible. The feeling of being loved is as real as the chair upon which you sit, and that feeling, sustained without struggle, must take form. The mind that is still is the mind that knows. You begin to understand that everything in your world was once an assumption. Even your current identity, your successes, your failures, your relationships, all of it was once imagined and accepted, then experienced. So why should love be any different? If you once accepted loneliness as true and it appeared, can you not now accept devotion and let it appear as well? The same law that brought separation will bring union, for it is the same law expressing your belief. When you reach this depth of understanding, you no longer wrestle with appearances. You may still notice what is, but you no longer accept it as final. You have learned to walk between two worlds, the seen and the unseen, and to favor the unseen, for that is where reality begins. The outer world is the photograph, the inner is the negative. Change the negative, and the picture must change. You are no longer reacting to the print, you are crafting the original image. This is the silent method, not silence as absence, but silence as creative command. When you close your eyes and withdraw from the outer world, you are entering the workshop of the divine. You are the sculptor and the clay. Each feeling you hold carves a new form into the unseen substance of life. When you rise from this silence, you do not look to see if anything has changed. You know it has. That knowing is your faith. Faith is not hope, it is possession. It is the quiet certainty that what you have felt within must appear without. You will notice that this silence begins to color every moment of your day. Conversations lose their urgency. The outer search loses its appeal. You carry within you the serenity of one who already has what they desire. You may find yourself smiling for no reason, sensing the nearness of your SP even when they are not physically present. That is the mark of one who has mastered the inner world. The sense that reality bends to their inner command. And when your SP does reach out, and they will, you will not feel surprise, for it will feel natural. It will feel as though it had always been this way. The outer act will simply confirm what you have long known. The love, the attention, the desire that flows toward you will feel like the continuation of a story that began in your imagination, for truly it did begin there. You were the author all along, writing quietly in the silence of your own consciousness. You will look back and realize that nothing ever came to you by chance. Every message, every meeting, every reconciliation was summoned by the state you persisted in. Even when you doubted, the law was faithful. It brought you the reflection of your dominant feeling, whether joy or despair, and when you learned to feel the end, to rest in love fulfilled, the mirror began to change, slowly at first, then swiftly, until the world sang back to you the song you had been humming in silence. This is why the quiet moment before sleep is so powerful. It is then that the outer mind surrenders and the inner mind becomes receptive. If you can lie down tonight and feel that your SP is thinking of you, longing for you, loving you, not as wish but as fact, then you have done more than enough. The unseen will take that feeling and build a bridge of events to make it visible. You need not lift a finger. The outer world will handle the details. When you awaken tomorrow, do not rush to see proof. Simply continue to walk as the one who is loved. Speak, move, breathe from that place. The repetition of this inner posture, calm, confident, fulfilled, will reshape everything. You will notice small changes first, a sudden calm in your heart, an unexpected message, a gentle shift in the energy between you and your SP. Then, as the feeling deepens, the outer will catch up entirely. The love you have known in silence will step into the light. So continue, my friend, not with effort, but with ease. The silence you enter is not empty, it is alive with creation. The feeling you hold is not imaginary, it is the seed of reality itself. And as you persist, not in longing, but in fulfillment, you will watch as the unseen becomes seen. And the love you once sought now seeks you. And when that love begins to seek you, do not marvel, for it is only the return of what you have already sent out in imagination. The world is a faithful servant, and it delivers exactly what you have impressed upon it. But now you must learn the final truth, that your SP, the one you once believed separate from you, is not another mind acting apart from your own. There is only one imagination, expressing itself in countless forms, and every being you encounter is but the outpicturing of your own inner assumptions. When you understand this, you no longer try to influence another, for there is no other to influence. You change yourself, and the reflection must follow. It may seem strange at first, but all along the responses, the silence, the distance, they were only reflections of your inner conversations. You spoke inwardly to your SP through feeling, through expectation, through the secret dialogue you carried in your mind, and the outer world simply echoed those tones back to you. If you saw indifference, it was because within you, some fragment of belief whispered that you were not chosen. If you felt ignored, it was because deep within, you entertained the thought that love was uncertain. And when you began to change that inner dialogue, when you started to feel loved, to imagine their devotion as present fact, everything began to shift. This is the final key. Your inner conversations create the outer relationship. Each time you close your eyes and imagine your SP speaking words of affection, each time you hear them saying, "Portia, I adore you, I can't stop thinking of you," you are planting seeds that must bear fruit. The world outside cannot resist the voice of your imagination, for it is the only true voice there is. When you control that conversation, you control destiny itself. So tonight, when you are alone, do not look at the phone and wonder why it is silent. Instead, close your eyes and hear the message you long for. Hear it with such clarity that it becomes more real than the silence of the room. Feel the vibration of love behind it. Let the sound echo through you and believe that it has already been spoken in the unseen. When you awaken, carry that feeling into your day. Do not check, do not doubt. Walk as one who has already heard the words. Soon the outer will speak them to you. But remember, you are not forcing another's will. You are awakening their truest self. The outer person is simply responding to the state you occupy within. When you imagine your SP obsessed with you, loving you, needing you, you are not bending their mind. You are calling forth the version of them that already feels this way in another dimension of reality. You are choosing the version of the story where love is mutual and overflowing. Infinite versions exist. Your imagination decides which one you experience. You may wonder how this can be, but look closely at your own life. Every moment is a mirror. People shift before your eyes when your assumptions about them change. One day, a friend seems cold. The next, they are affectionate. And yet you cannot pinpoint what changed except your inner attitude. The same law applies to your SP. They are not fixed, they are fluid, responding to the energy of your belief. The moment you stop seeing them as distant and start knowing them as devoted, you enter a new version of them. You have stepped into a new reality, and the old one fades like a dream. Do not underestimate the power of persistence. A single act of imagination is potent, but repeated assumption crystallizes into fact. Each time you return to the feeling of being loved, each time you repeat the inner dialogue of affection, you reinforce the new pattern. Eventually it becomes your dominant vibration, and then it must manifest. The law does not fail, only our faith wavers. So stand firm. Let no outer circumstance disturb your inner conviction. Sometimes you will find the old thoughts creeping back. Doubts, fears, the temptation to check if anything is happening. In those moments, remember that the unseen is far more active than you think. When nothing seems to move, that is when the roots are growing deepest. Content. To water your assumption with feeling. Continue to rehearse love in imagination. The harvest is sure. You cannot plant the seed of fulfillment and not reap its fruit. Nature herself would rebel if that were possible. And as your SP begins to move closer through messages, calls, gestures, or even unexpected meetings, treat these not as miracles, but as the natural unfolding of what already was. Do not fall back into the state of hoping. Remain in the state of having. Many lose their manifestation because they return to desire the moment the evidence appears. But the wise remain calm. They know that the appearance is merely the outer shell catching up to the inner truth. The love that was real in imagination is now taking form in flesh and time. You will soon notice something even more profound. As your SP's love blossoms outwardly, so too does your understanding of who you truly are. For all along, this journey was never about another person. It was about discovering the creative power within yourself. The SP was the mirror that revealed your forgotten divinity. When you see that your inner world commands the outer, you awaken to the realization that there is nothing outside your consciousness. You are the author of your reality, and love is the proof of your authorship. Do not think this law applies only to relationships. Once you have proven it in love, you can prove it in all areas of life. Abundance, health, joy, peace. The same principle governs all. That which you assume and feel to be true within must externalize itself without. The silence you practiced, the stillness you cultivated, the emotions you mastered. These are the tools by which you build worlds. Your imagination is not fantasy, it is creation. So let love be your starting point. Let it teach you the rhythm of faith. Let it show you how thought becomes flesh, how feeling becomes form. And as you see your SP drawn irresistibly to you, know that you are witnessing your own consciousness reflected back in the language of affection. You have discovered the silent method, the way of effortless creation. You speak not with words, but with conviction, not with noise, but with stillness. You call forth realities not by force, but by knowing. And when the world finally shows you what you have long imagined, you will smile, not in surprise, but in recognition. You will say, "Oh, of course it happened this way. It could not have been otherwise." For once the state is assumed and persisted in, it becomes law. And love, being the highest vibration of all, must manifest most swiftly. You will realize that the moment you accepted yourself as loved, the universe conspired to make it so. Every event, every coincidence, every stirring of emotion was the unseen weaving itself into visibility. Then, as the outer and inner finally merge, you will walk with quiet power, knowing that nothing is beyond your reach. You will no longer question if your SP loves you. You will know that love has always been yours, for you are its source. What once felt like longing becomes creation. What once felt like silence becomes symphony. The same stillness that once felt empty now hums with the fullness of life. And from that place of quiet mastery, you will never again chase love. You will emanate it, and everything and everyone you touch will feel its pull. And so, beloved listener, the secret is no longer hidden. The power to make your SP love, desire, and obsess over you does not lie in the outer world, but in the inner silence where imagination becomes reality. The moment you dare to feel it real, the unseen begins to shape itself around your conviction. What you assume and persist in feeling, you inevitably experience. This is not magic, it is law, the divine law of consciousness. Every silent scene you live within, every loving thought you nurture, and every night you drift to sleep in the feeling of the wish fulfilled brings you closer to your manifested love. Believe it, assume it, live it, and watch as your SP cannot resist the magnetic pull of your inner certainty. Remember, the world mirrors your imagination. When you claim yourself as the one who is deeply loved, life must reflect that truth back to you in perfect harmony.